Brooklyn Legal Services fights for justice and equality for poor and low-income citizens. For 50 years, that has been our fight every day.
The pressures in Brooklyn are intense. You're seeing waves of gentrification and communities of color where there was, deep affordability and housing, and now those neighborhoods are vanishing. And people of color are particular, I think, under pressure and being targeted for displacement.
One of the buildings that we work with in the Tenants' Rights Coalition is 437 Wyona Street in the East New York section of Brooklyn, a neighborhood that is going through rezoning, going through a lot of changes, and it's a 6-unit building, a rent-stabilized building where tenants were really suffering with terrible conditions and an absentee landlord.
I've been living in 437 Wyona for approximately 6 years, and there are so many issues. The roof was messed up, water was coming in the building when it rained outside, it rained inside. Cold, we didn't have no heat, we didn't have hot water. The stairs was so messed up. I even fell down the stairs and the ambulance had to pick me up. It was going for approximately, I guess, 1.5 to 2 years.
At the time that we met, the tenants of 437 Wyona, the owner had completely abandoned the building, but yet was still cashing rent checks. Well, the first thing that we wanted to do was make sure tenants knew that they did not have to move. Whether or not the owner had abandoned the building, whether or not the building was under foreclosure, their rights as rent-stabilized tenants were intact. We encouraged them to call the city's 311 hotline to complain about all the things that they needed fixed. And the city started to pay attention to that.
The new landlord, he got a contract for 2 months to fix everything that needs to be fixed in the building. They went door from door. They came to my door and asked me what I needed to be fixed. It feels good. It feels good because now my rent is being paid, but something is being done. It's amazing the help they got us. I would love to thank Brooklyn Legal Services for all the help they gave us. And not only for me, I will speak for all the tenants.
My hope is that we will continue to be able to do the work well, and that we'll be able to continue to get the resources to do the work to preserve the housing stock of the neighborhoods that we care about.
I met Damar when he was a taxi driver. Actually, I had a job in New Jersey that I had to come home on the weekends. We got married in March of 2010 after dating for about 6 months.
Unfortunately, after marriage, things took a turn for the worse. He became very verbally, emotionally abusive, physically threatening, throwing things around the apartment. Once he even burnt her with an iron.
He would actually break stuff, yell, scream. At one point, then I decided I was going to go ahead and file a complaint because I got to the point where I started to get scared. I didn't feel like I had anyone to turn to because I really didn't have any family members close by, and I wasn't close with any of his family members. I had moved out eventually, moved into a shelter.
At the time that she contacted us, Patricia was in the process of trying to obtain her green card through her marriage to her husband. Unfortunately, at the first interview, the immigration officer had questions regarding the validity of the marriage, and they were scheduled for a second green card interview. At that point, Patricia contacted us because she had made a decision to permanently end her relationship with her former partner since she had caught him cheating once again. Now that Patricia has obtained her green card, she's been able to find stable employment that allows her to support herself and her children in Jamaica. She's also going to school.
It feels like freedom. That's the best word I can use to describe it. Freedom.
I needed to collect unemployment. I didn't have any funds or anything, and I tried, and unemployment services, they kept saying that I wasn't qualified, that I was a contractor. I didn't see how this is possible.
Uber misclassifies the workers, so they claimed that the drivers were independent contractors and denied them any sort of a safety net, such as unemployment.
They came to us because one of their members had applied for unemployment insurance and his application was essentially frozen. They didn't approve it, they didn't deny it, they just sat on it.
We went to Brooklyn Legal Services, who has an expertise on unemployment insurance, to file their claims. In the process, we learned there is executive review being conducted of all Uber driver unemployment claims. So all of them were frozen, none of them were being processed. With Brooklyn Legal, we filed a lawsuit against the governor's office for holding up the drivers' UI claims, which then forced the Department of Labor to properly investigate the claims. And over time, we were able to win unemployment for the 3 drivers. They were found to be employees.
If I didn't have Brooklyn Legal Service, I'd be lost and hopeless. I wouldn't know where to turn. Just to see justice being done, that's great. It's one thing to fight it and keep fighting and then it doesn't happen, but this is a great thing for everyone.
I have just been really blown away by what I've seen of how far Brooklyn Legal Services will go to defend working people, to defend poor people, to defend people that otherwise will not have access to legal representation and uphold their rights that are equal to everybody else in our society.
The demand for our services is overwhelming, and our pro bono partners are an incredible resource for us to be able to expand our reach.
So I definitely think that working on pro bono is something that is valuable in a different way than doing our normal work here at the firm. You can make a real difference in a lot of times their personal lives.
I think it has been some of the more meaningful work I've done. It's nice working with a person whose face you see.
There is a huge demand for civil legal services out there. It falls to both nonprofit organizations and private law firms to fill that gap and fill that need.
We're a better city, a stronger city if we are an equitable city. And right now there is tremendous inequity across the boroughs, and we challenge that every day.